where you guys know the Society of Human Resource Management.
Hey,
There we
everybody.
are. Oh, man, we are a show. Look at
Look
us.
at us.
All
Yee-hoo.
right. All right. And good morning, guys. And there's my brother David up there.
Hey, David.
So this is a special show for me because I got two of my longest friends in job search on the show today. And so, Jimmy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. What a fun day to be on with you. It would be better if we were all together in person, but I love
Yeah,
being on with you.
we got to fix that. David and I do something about that by way via barbecue.
There we
That's a good
go.
thing.
Jimmy and I've been involved in a little barbecue before, so
Yes,
we're
we have.
doing pretty well. Hey, we're in there. So before we start the show, guys, I want to congratulate a job seeker on landing. We've got a recruiter. When we get recruiter landings, I get excited. We've got a recruiter landing down in Houston at Tesla. Our friend Dixie Edwards has landed. Congratulations, Dixie.
Woo,
Her name is
Dixie.
Dixie Edwards. And you guys that are interested in Tesla, we are going to be talking with Dixie. We like to have these relationships that we have inside of these companies. That's what makes this network what it is. I see we got my man Jason Hopper with us. Jason,
J
guys, is
Hop.
usually with us. Jay Hop. Jason is with the over with the Jewish Family Services over in Dallas. You guys go check out if you're a job seeker. Go check out jfsdallas.org. Jewish Family Service. You can Google them up. Google up Jewish Family Services. Now, here's the deal. There, Mez just put it in the chat. jfsdallas.org. You guys will see the whole plethora of services they have over there. It's pretty incredible. They've been there for a number of years. Jason, tell Allison I said hello over there. And we appreciate you guys, especially being a part of this show. We got a lot of people that are listening to us right now, and a number of companies that have I've invited so they can meet my buddy David up there. The second part of the show, we're going to talk to David Williams, and hey, that's what's going on this show. But we're going to start with Jimmy, and right before we do, guys, here's what I like. We've got a job, guys. I want to announce. A good friend of mine is CHRO, Chief Human Resource Officer, over at Marketplace Chaplains. Now, Marketplace Chaplains is a big not for profit. Now, it's a big old company, believe it or not, even though it's not for profit. I don't want you guys to go, oh, they're not for profit. No, they operate just like any other company. They are over in the Hope Center over in Plano, and Brett, my buddy, needs to hire a HR director, guys, a director of HR. And so, if you are a director of HR and you're interested in learning more, you can go to search4uinc.com. You will see it posted there. That's search the number four, the letter U, inc.com, which I need to talk about a lot more. That is our private job posting site, guys. And on that site, I like to call it network jobs. On that site, thanks, Maz, on that site, guys, are we have relationships and we know who is looking to hire, who we need to reach out to and touch. Apply online is okay, but I think it adds value when we know who it is that we need to be communicating with. And so Brett Billups is the CHRO over there, and you guys will see that posting, that full posting. It's typical HR director. You're going to need probably about, I think, 8 to 10 years of HR leadership experience to show for that opportunity. It's a good paying opportunity. It's a wonderful company. There are a number of people out of the network that are working over there because we have that kind of relationship. Dana, I'm supposed to get close to the screen when I say that on the
Relationship.
relationship. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, so guys, we have a number. Our strongest portion of the network probably is our HR function. That makes sense because guess who's going to hire you, guys, when you get engaged with a company trying to land a job.
Yeah.
And so we've got a number of CHROs and VPs of HR and number one, two, threes, and fours, and we got recruiters. Oh man, we've all in our group. We meet, guys, the first and third Wednesday of every month on Zoom. So you got no excuses. Oh, sir, I couldn't get up. I need to take the kids to school. I couldn't make it to me. No, guys, you can roll out of bed. Now, y'all put a shirt on, but you roll out of bed, go to your computer, and join us at HR. Now, Jimmy, I got real excited. Well, I need to catch up with Jimmy anyway. I hadn't talked to him in a while. But Jimmy is the man, 50 grand when it comes to HR around Dallas. So Jimmy, tell us a little bit about uh Dallas HR, why people should get you know why they should get involved with Dallas HR, what's out there. You talk about Sherm, talk about you see job seekers, you've served them forever. Just tell us something, man.
I'd love to. Thank you again for joining. And I got to put in a plug for Marketplace Chaplains. What a great organization and a great opportunity. I
Yeah.
had a chance to talk with Jason, their CEO, a couple of weeks ago. I was astonished at how fast they're growing. And
They are.
so it is a great opportunity for sure. So Dallas HR is a not-for-profit association. We are the local SHRM chapter for Dallas and Collin County, the greater Dallas area. We really exist just to equip, train, educate, and help network HR professionals together so that they can be more equipped to do their job. Because one of the things, and Foster, you and I share this belief, you and I know that HR, when we do it well, changes us as HR practitioners, but more importantly, it changes the employees with the
Absolutely.
organizations we work for.
Yeah.
And if we do it well, it actually changes them for the better. And they in turn change the communities that they live in. So there is nothing more grassroots, I think, in terms of leading communities and developing communities and creating opportunities than the local HR association, which is what Dallas HR is. We put on about 120 events a year, from very small online roundtables for HR departments of one to the HR Southwest Conference, where we'll have a couple thousand people in Fort Worth, Texas, at the Tarrant County Convention Center in October for another conference. This is our 83rd year for doing HR Southwest.
Oh, it's
so
83, huh?
It's been around for a while, but but that's a little bit about who we are and what we do.
I'm not 83 yet, guys, so it predates Foster.
Well, Jimmy, I have a question for you. So this is exciting as a HR and talent acquisition professional, being the fact that you've served as a director for years for the Texas SHRM Society. Share a little bit about some tips you might have for those individuals that could be currently studying to obtain either their PHR, SPHR, or GPHR, or the other side of the table. I know there's a newer set of credentials. You have kind of two ways that you can go to get those, but share a little bit about that with us.
Just from my own personal experience and from seeing hundreds of people go through that, the one tip that I would share is find a group, find a study group. There's study groups through local community colleges. All of the SHRM chapters around the state offer study groups where you can sit. Most of the time it's weekly. You get together once a week, either in person or via Zoom based on how the geographics lay out. But it's a chance for an instructor to walk you through some of the material that you need to learn.
Yeah.
And I'll use Dallas HR as an example. We've been doing those study groups twice a year for years. Our pass rate is in the high 90s. So if you sit with a study group, you just increase the likelihood that you're really going to retain the information you need when you sit down at that computer terminal and finally take that exam. So that's the very first tip I would say. There is also some online learning tools. SHRM has a study system that you can purchase that will help you as you study as well. I was a big believer in flashcards. You can get flashcards that have mock questions with the answer on the back. And I spent a few days cramming for that test and just studying that way. So, but the main thing is start ahead of time. Give yourself plenty of time. Work your study schedule out as your professional life allows for it. But doing that with another group, I think, increases the likelihood of passing tremendously.
I'm
impressed with
actually
those
looking
people that
at
have a GPHR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't sit for that one. I wasn't smart enough, Foster.
Yeah, I don't think you people that have GPHRs, Alice and Dallas, and you people out there, you guys might as well go ahead and get into medical school. And my God, that GPHR exam is a doozy, from what I
Did you
understand.
take it, Foster?
Oh goodness, no, no, I've still got to get through our recruiter stuff. I've already established. You guys call me the job father, so I'm gonna sit. I'm gonna sit well with that. So, Jimmy, what is the difference between, and Dana, I apologize for cutting you off. Don't forget your question. We're gonna come back to it. Jimmy, what is the difference between a SPHR and a PHR?
The level of experience, it's a great question, Foster, and I don't have the definitions on the tip of my tongue, but
Mhm.
SPHR is a more senior HR
Yeah,
practitioner. There's I believe it's based on years of experience
I
in a
think so.
leadership
Yeah.
it
management
is.
role.
Mhm.
But that's the big difference.
Yeah.
If you're a young practitioner, maybe you're not in a leadership role yet, you definitely would want to start with a PHR. It's a little bit less exhaustive exam, a little bit easier to pass for most of us. And the SPHR is a more senior level. And Dana alluded to two different tracks. There's SPHR, and then there's the SHRM SCP.
Yes.
Yeah, SHRM SCP is developed and administered by SHRM, and then the other one is developed and administered by a group called HRCI. Uh, there's a great debate in the industry about which is more
Yeah.
valuable. I would say get the one that looks like it would fit your career growth plans, and don't worry too much about which one is more popular.
Do
Yeah.
you happen to see one requested more than other? I notice in looking at job descriptions, if I do see them, they'll either list PHR or both. I very rarely ever see anything with just the other side. It's either
Uh huh.
PHR or both, like
Yeah.
one or the other. But very rarely do they just have the newer one through SHRM.
Yeah, and I think that's just a function of the calendar, quite honestly.
Yeah,
SPHR and PHR have been around for a number of years. SHRM introduced theirs maybe in 2015 or
yeah,
16.
yeah. It is very
So,
new.
yeah, so I think the fact that it's newer is made it less likely to make the job descriptions. But
Yeah,
and degree of functionality for someone's career and their knowledge base, I think they're both equally valid.
yeah.
Sherm has been
Of
around, like
course.
Jimmy said, 83 years. I didn't even know that myself. But guys, when you've been around 83 years, you have a brand going there. So
Hmm.
remember that, guys, as you're going, what is most branded, maybe, and what is most widely recognized in the industry or where you're going? Check out if you are in HR any sort of ways. I, as a recruiter, suggests that you guys check out Sherm, and you definitely want to become a part of that. But you also definitely want to get caught up with Dallas HR. If you're in the Metroplex and you're in
Yes.
HR, hey, you need to have Jimmy Taylor on your LinkedIn. You need to build a relationship with Jimmy and the events. How many events did you guys say you put on a year, Jimmy?
Yeah. How many?
We'll do about 120 this year.
Oh my
Really?
So,
Now, are these
gee.
typically free events or are they paid events? Or share a little bit about what these look like.
sure, great question.
Good
There's
question.
a mixture. So for members, most of them are free except for our education events.
Okay.
There's training where there's
Yeah.
credit hours that be delivered. A lot of those include lunch, so there's a charge for those. We do some online events, roundtables for compensation folks and for HR departments of one. Those are a free event for members. We do a lot of networking events. That was the first thing that came back
Oh
after
yeah.
COVID. People wanted to get out and just get together. So the networking events are huge. We do those at various areas around the city once or twice a month, and those are free events as well. And if you want some information, just hit our website. It's
Yes.
dallashr.org, and there's a ton of information.
DallasHR.org. Dallas.
Correct.
Okay. That is great.
Yeah.
So Jimmy, what advice would you have? I have noticed, and this is a good thing for those that are in HR and talent acquisition, there are quite a few opportunities that are out there across the US, and quite a few remote opportunities for job seekers in the HR space. And maybe that trickle into, like myself, I'm stronger on the talent acquisition side, but I have crossover experience in HR, compensation, and payroll. and onboarding. My question to you would be, what are some good tips in terms of positioning yourself strategically as an HR professional, networking, and do you know of any additional places that might be hiring for human resources right now?
Sure. So let's take it quickly two ways. One
Okay.
for somebody who might, just be currently employed, pretty happy, but they want to develop their network, and the other for the person who's in transition today, because the needs are very different. The pressures feel very, very different between those two roles. For somebody who's in a current role today and they just want to start preparing for their future, whether it's Dallas HR or another networking group, another SHRM chapter, there's nothing more valuable than just building your network, getting to know people inside your profession and even outside your profession. Because once you're in the job search mode, it's really hard to build your network in a way that's going to deliver a new opportunity quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So building that network in advance of the need is just incredibly important for all of us in our careers. So
Yes.
if you're currently employed and you're happy in your role, I would say this is a perfect time to find out where you can plug in, volunteer with one of Foster's groups, come volunteer at Dallas HR. Fort Worth HR is available as well, but just get to know some other industry professionals. Then, if you happen to get that pink slip or decide it's time to move on, you've got a vast network of people that you can reach out to. And any single one of them may not know about a lead, but collectively, if you've got a big group, more than likely, some of them are going to have some leads that would introduce you to companies that you won't know is hiring. They're not on LinkedIn. They're not doing it actively. It's a
Uh-huh.
passive search, and that's so important. So, rule number one, build your network in advance of the times you need it. If I'm out of work today, that's not very helpful advice. So let's talk about that job seeker who's looking today. I would say two things for a job seeker today. One is the value of some of the things that Foster has done so faithfully over the years, getting together with job seekers every week, is incredibly important. It's a lonely, frustrating,
Oh.
maybe depressing process to be in the job transition mode. Even the most optimistic of us are going to get really frustrated when we submit a resume into a black hole and we don't hear anything back for weeks and weeks and weeks. So you've got to have a group of people who
Mm-hmm.
are going through a similar situation that can help hold you accountable, help keep you encouraged, help keep you motivated. And then secondly, just think of yourself as being in a sales role. Even if you've never sold anything in your life, your job as a job seeker is to go close one sale, which is to get yourself hired. I think so many times as job seekers, we're too passive. We don't really use the tools at our disposal. Let's talk about LinkedIn for a second. I was with
Yeah.
some of our volunteers last night, and one of them who just had successfully transitioned about 6 weeks ago, I asked him how he found his role. He submitted his resume to the company because he felt like it was a great fit. The resume went in. He almost immediately got a rejection notice back saying his qualifications didn't match. So many of us stop at that point and go on and
Uh-huh.
look for the next lead.
We should not.
What he did was he said, wait, I think this job's a good fit for me. So he went online, found some connections in the HR team. They weren't even people he knew, but they were employed by the company. He shot him a resume and said, I saw your job posting. I think I might be a good fit. Here's the reasons why. Give them bullet points, give them some reasons to take the bait. And that resulted in an interview and ultimately a hire. It's a great
Wow.
role. He loves it. Can
That's
you
excellent.
imagine how long he might have been out if he'd have just taken the rejection from the applicant tracking system? So
Yeah.
use LinkedIn to make some connections, even if they're people you don't know in the organization.
Oh,
The
that's
worst they can do is
amazing,
tell you
Jimmy.
no. Yeah.
That's tremendous. Yeah, that's good
Wow.
insight.
Yeah.
That's a great example. Jimmy, I want to
Mm-hmm.
thank you because both sides of the coin that you articulated, whether you're working currently but looking to grow or you're in a transition, what powerful information that we can put
Mm-hmm.
into effect. And I think job seekers need encouragement. They need to know, listen, the
Absolutely.
right position is out there. Our time right now is to stay strong, stay close to
Mhm.
your network, do the things that are going to get you in front of people, utilize and leverage your network, continue to build your network, stay on LinkedIn, keep applying, don't give up, have faith. The right thing is going to open. There are jobs. I just had a call with a recruiter earlier today, and he's like, I do want to say, even though there's a lot of scary things on the news and on TV and in the papers and online, he's like, I'm seeing a steady influx of jobs. So I think the most important thing is making sure that you've got your resume where you need it to be. It's funny. I do resumes and cover letters. I have a little side hustle called Resume Key, and I do it for other people. But guess what? When you're trying to do your own, sometimes it can be a little bit more challenging, right?
Yeah.
It's just a different emotional scale. So I found a cover letter company for $2.50. I picked through all these templates. It kind of guided me, and I just added everything in and put together a phenomenal cover letter. And because I've been doing resumes for a while, I went ahead and just completely rehauled my resume and had a couple friends look at it. But just know there's resources out there for you. And I'm not trying to put a shameless plug, but I will help individuals if I'll talk to them. I have very affordable rates. And if someone is in a position where they just can't afford it, I do make exceptions from time to time because it is an opportunity to give back and bless the community. But keep in mind, there's hope. There are still jobs coming in. We just have to stay proactive. Yeah. We have to stay positive. We have to keep building each other up. And for me, I've just honestly been spending a lot of time in the Word trying to figure out what God wants me to learn and grow from this time. So take a step back if you're in the job seeking community right now and just, kind of check yourself and find out maybe there are some things God's wanting to grow and develop.
What's going on
during this time. Yeah. But there's hope and there are opportunities. In Jimmy's example, he got this one friend of his got a rejection, because often I will dispel the myth because you get a rejection doesn't mean you're not qualified. Sometimes they've picked out 4 or 5 of the first people that applied that look good, and they don't have time to get through the rest of the 40 applicants or something.
Yep.
So if you're proactive, like Jimmy's friend was, and went ahead and reach out and share your resume and utilize and leverage your network.
I hear music, guys.
We'll get back on the second half, everybody. Jimmy, thank you.
We're there.
We'll see everybody in a minute.
Thanks, Jimmy.
You're welcome.
Attention all business owners and creative minds. Do you need a unique and personalized touch for your products? Look no further than Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs. We offer custom laser engraving services for a variety of products, including promotional items and corporate or personal gifts. With state-of-the-art equipment and a team of skilled designers, we can engrave intricate designs on virtually any material. Whether it's a special message, a company logo, or a custom design, Romika Laser Engraving will help you make your mark. And the best part, our prices are affordable and our turnaround time is quick.
I couldn't be happier with the work Romika Laser Engraving did for me. The engraving on my product was precise and exactly what I wanted.
So don't wait any longer to add a personal touch to your products. Call Romika Laser Engraving and Custom Designs today at 817-400-4040 or visit our website at romikadesigns.com. We look forward to helping you make your mark.
Out-of-date carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Joco Community Radio. Listen live at tunein.com.
Hey, Jobfather Nation. Welcome back to the second half of our show. The first half we heard from Jimmy. He's the main man, 50 grand, according to Foster,
right.
and we
That's
already
right.
know that. I got so excited and passionate about what I was talking about that I lost track of the fact that we hit the half hour mark. I just wanted to wrap up real quick before we move on to the second half with our guest that Foster will introduce in just a moment. But I wanted to encourage everybody. The main thing is just remember there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes when people are reviewing applications. Some situations, they actually look through all of them. Some, they don't always have the time. So by being proactive, using your network, reaching out to people directly or coming to people that you're networked with that might know them to help do an introduction can not only open the door for your resume to get seen, but also can align an interview and even a job. There are still quite a few positions coming in. Stay positive, folks. And just don't take a rejection personally. There are plenty of times that there are perfectly qualified candidates, but we can't truly get through all of them. And it's also important, as soon as you see a new job posted, apply as quickly as possible. You want to stay in the front of the pack, okay? All right, Foster, let's talk about our second half of our show.
Dana, can I make one more quick
on our
tip?
show today?
Absolutely, Jimmy. Go right ahead.
Sorry, I want to give one more quick tip, and then I promise I'll be quiet.
Oh, no, we love it, Jimmy. We love it.
That's what we're here for.
One thing that will absolutely set people apart when they go interview is take the time immediately after that interview to get a plain professional thank you note from the store. Write a thank you note to that hiring manager. Just needs to cover three things. Thanks for your time today. Here's a couple of reasons why I think I'm a great fit for this role, and I look forward to hearing from you. Here's my contact info again. Statistically, less than 25% of job seekers send those. In fact, today almost nobody sends them.
Yeah, that's true.
But more than 60% of hiring managers surveyed said that would impact their final hiring decision. So you can set yourself apart and put yourself in a class with very few competitors if you'll just do that one simple task. It takes a few minutes and costs you 60 cents.
Oh man!
But it'll be well worth it in the job search. Thanks for letting me add that.
That's a good investment, Jimmy. I'm glad about that.
Yeah, real quick, Foster. Another thing that you can do is if you are already linked with them and you've already been communicating with them on LinkedIn, something I've done is to get a quick turnaround on it is message them right away on LinkedIn to thank them for their time, to reiterate my interest. Mailing is great. I would recommend that. But if you are already in conversation with them on LinkedIn and you've already had prior conversation, wouldn't hurt to send one there as well.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Can never hurt. But few people take the time to really handwrite them anymore. That's what makes them so novel.
That's what makes it does. Agreed. Take the time to do those things that everybody else isn't doing. Guys, I keep telling you, don't let your job search be mechanical. Get and put that human element into it, because that's what we're trying to hire anyway. And right before I introduced David is one of those absolutely, as absolutely Abby says, I am absolutely qualified candidates. Guys, on LinkedIn, if you are in HR, if you are a recruiter, if you have supported HR, some of you executive admins, there is a group called Texas HR Pros that I was happy to back a long time ago, happy to start that. And it's a place where we want everybody in Texas and in HR on Texas HR Pros. And I think, oh God, we got probably 20,000 people now. We learn a lot. It's so many people on Texas HR Pros. We had to start another one called Texas HR Pros in Transition. Now, you know what that means. If you're in HR and you're in transition, believe me, you got to get there and develop a relationship. There's that
relationship.
Guys, Texas HR Pros and Texas HR Pros in Transition, if you are looking for another opportunity, sort of thing. And then we got a number of people that are. That's why this show is here. So now, guys, I want to introduce you to another Williams. It is my big brother. It's David Williams. There is a cornerstone of friends. Rex Sowett, who is on the show with us right now listening.
Rex!
Jeff Little, who I call Bubba. one of my best friends, one of my longest friends in this world. And then there's David Williams and Foster Williams. Those Williams brothers, we can tell y'all everything you want to know about barbecue. So that's one reason that you guys need to hire David Williams. But guys, David's a CPA, and David's one of those guys in a corporation. David, you tell me to shut up. I'm heading the wrong direction if I do it. David is one of those people that can run in between what makes money and how does it look on the bottom line towards what we're actually doing, what we're spending money on, all that sort of thing. David has of late been involved in supply chain and logistics, so he's going to add these things that he's going to tell us about today. And David has been a supply chain and logistics consultant for a number of companies. So David, hello, thanks for joining us. You talk to me all, oh my God, David and I talk about 10 times a week, but
Yeah.
it's good to be able to see him. Sometimes I talk to him on the phone. I don't know what he's doing. He's probably shopping for cheese. David and I are also cheese advocates.
Too much information.
But David, tell us a little bit about David.
Thank you.
Tell us what it is that you do and
Yeah.
some things that companies that are listening. And there's a number of companies that are listening. I've already got a couple of texts of
Yeah.
how they might want to hire you and how they might want to apply your background.
Okay. Thank you, Foster, Dana, and Jimmy. I really appreciate those words earlier about inspiration of encouragement to keep going, be resilient. I consider myself a pretty optimistic person, but it does get to you, right?
Oh yeah,
On a daily basis. How's the audio? Everybody hear me okay?
you're sounding wonderful.
Hear you great. Hear
Yeah.
you great.
Yeah. So when I graduated from college, majored in economics, and which is a great
Ooh.
degree. And I thought, well, do I need to get a master's? What can I do with it? Go into general business. My dad was a bookkeeper. He always wanted me to go into accounting. I pushed back on it. And then I realized, that
Understood.
might not be a bad thing. So I took enough hours since I didn't have an accounting degree, I took enough hours to sit for the CPA exam, ultimately passed it. Fantastic. Went into corporate accounting, a lot of SEC and compliance type work for a while. But then I was introduced to the procurement group, and I fell in love with their business practices, their procure to pay, the matching. And that's when I spun off into supply chain, and I haven't looked back. And very, very proud of, very fortunate to have the experience that I've had basically with healthcare, supply chain, software implementations, which entails end-to-end project implementations. It could be ad hoc training, it could be support, different areas like that. But the way I really brand myself is some people will look at my resume and they see CPA. And I brand myself by the fact that I understand the linkages between supply chain and finance. I love aligning those two groups together because they really need to understand each other. Currently, I'm wanting to move away from implementation, and I'm taking, of all things, some cybersecurity courses through the American Institute of CPAs for data security, things like that. And it applies to supply chain too, big time.
Yeah.
All the financial regulations, SOX, apply to supply chain. So there's that great connection, and I love that connection, and I love helping people. And I think that's my biggest skill is my relationships with people. I prize that a lot. And just to add on very quickly, I volunteered really for how many years, Foster? 12 years helping job seekers when I can.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've been involved in the network.
I volunteered for Career Solutions. We had our own weekly group, Go for Gold, a couple of years ago. Foster sponsored that. I was in leadership position there, and I just absolutely love helping people like you do, all of you, uh, with their job transitions and work. So I do it when I can today. I'm available for words of encouragement, review your resume. I'm not an
Yeah.
expert like Dana and Jimmy and other people, but I think I know what a good resume looks like.
Yeah.
That's right. Hey,
So
David, Rex threw a question in there. You knew Rex is the other part of us guys. I mentioned Jeff and Rex and David and I, and there's
yeah,
Rex always has a very intelligent question to ask. And he
Oh,
says,
yeah.
yeah, I see
and it's
that.
kind of a branding question. Do you
Yeah, you
brand
see,
yourself as a CPA with a supply chain SME subject matter expert? Or are you
hmm
supply chain subject matter expert with a CPA? Which
yeah.
profile has the biggest market value? What do you think, David? Where
Rex, you're not going to stop me on this one. So he's trying to.
he's gonna think of
No,
something else.
that's a very good question because it lends itself to what I just mentioned. What do you? I've had some recruiters say you need to take the CPA off your resume. What do you? Are you confused? No, I'm not.
No.
Um, what I've seen in my experience is not been a breakdown in the system itself, the application. It's been a breakdown in change management, process issues, flawed processes, flawed communication between finance and supply chain. And there's a tremendous linkage there, and there's a tremendous implication on this. Many supply chain directors report to the CFO, and rightly so.
Oh
The
wow.
this
Okay.
downstream implication on the finances. Let's just take one example: inventory. I've seen inventory at healthcare organizations that are out of whack. The valuation's not correct. It wasn't intentional fraud or mishap. It was just it could be lack of training, lack of um, cycle counting their inventory and keeping up, making sure they have the right stock on hand at the right price valuation, which is the valuation that goes on the balance sheet. That's just one example of the huge linkage between finance and supply chain. If we had time, I could spend another 20 minutes on it.
Yeah, believe me,
But
he can. We
that's
have
the
done that.
reason these two groups tend to be siloed, sometimes even adversarial. When I was at Texas Scottish Rite Hospital, we met on a weekly basis resolving the procure to pay problems with finance and supply chain, and we started making great headway.
Awesome. Now, Mez has got a good question. It says, and you just answered one of those. I know because I've been a part of your life for probably 15 or so years. I know some of the companies that you worked at, and we all know that corporate America will hire us for the things that we have done. But David has been in healthcare, he's been at Cooks, he's been at Scottish Rite, you know, any other areas. Now, I know as a recruiter, what you're talking about is sort of industry agnostic. Supply chain goes on in every company, but
Every
in
company.
my estimation, there's rarely a David that understands the finances and can break it down and help you guys understand, both ends understand why we're making the decisions that we're making versus other decisions and things. So, are there any industries, David, I guess that you would be interested in outside of healthcare?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Early in my consulting career, Foster, I was in a little bit of manufacturing,
Yep,
financial
forgot about that.
services.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to break into uh, the defense now, uh, government work like Textron, Bell, Lockheed,
Uh-huh.
but healthcare is my most recent experience with specifically with hospitals that have implemented this software that I mentioned earlier.
Hmm.
But I'm open to that industry change as well as I'm transitioning more into. And I have two certificates in supply chain risk management, which I love. There's a
Oh yeah,
huge
yeah, that's your thing.
risk
Oh, that's awesome.
risk
Mhm.
risk management and supply chain risk does it applies to life, right?
Yes.
And people think of finance first, but it applies specifically to supply chain too. So
Absolutely. Now, David, I haven't said this before, but there are a number of aerospace companies that probably could use your services too. I have worked with Smith's Aerospace and Crane Aerospace and Parker, and of course NASA. And I've not, you know, I'm a NASA nerd, but I've never thrown those ideas at you. And I've got connections at SpaceX and NASA, you know, and
Yeah.
even Virgin Atlantic over in the UK.
Yeah, that's great, Foster. I'll get with you. You know, many of these other industries have huge compliance issues, and that's another reason a CPA would be valuable is to understand the compliance and risk issues as well as any specific audit issues they might come under. But each industry has its own. Obviously, healthcare HIPAA compliance is huge. But there's other compliance is big, right?
Oh
And
yeah, oh believe
being
me,
able to
nowadays, yeah.
being able to deal with that.
Yeah, you know, Maz asked a question, would you consider oil and gas? Well, Maz, I didn't tell you, but Dave worked for Schlumberger back in the day too.
You know,
So you
you, know,
guys,
you,
you and Maz got a lot
you
in
got a
common.
you got a better memory than I do. That's right. I worked in Houston for Schlumberger. It was their uh, security. They had security devices, and I was privileged to work over international for a little bit with those guys. But yeah,
That's a
I'm
good. That's
open.
yeah. That's a good question, Maz. I like that. Maz has got 10 years in oil and gas. I don't know if I ever told you that, but Maz has got 10 years in oil and gas as well.
Good.
She's been around. She's not as young as she looks. But oh, I'm gonna pay. I'm gonna pay for that
Foster.
one.
Goodness
She's
gracious.
she is like my sister. I think she'll let me live. And David, because I forgot to tell you about some of those other ideas that I'm coming up with now that I'm listening to you talk, David, he'll feel sorry for me and not steal so much barbecue off my plate next time.
Oh, speaking of barbecue, if y'all don't frequent Rockwall, there is a new barbecue place called
Oh,
Sammy
tell it,
Lou's.
tell it,
I'm,
tell
I'm,
it.
I'm,
David
I'm
and I got to
leaning
get.
in. I'm leaning in to the
Yeah,
extreme.
exactly.
Sammy Lou's, and it is to die for. The other day, and they ran out, so I didn't get to have it. But it was sausage with Gouda and smoked jalapeno, and
Oh
Wow.
my God.
Where's it
wow.
located?
it's in Rockwall or Rowlett. It's
Yeah, we
right.
can get out there, David, a
It's
lot
Okay.
right
quicker
off
than
of
some of those
Dal
trips
Rock
we take.
and
I'll be in my car.
I-30 and 66,
I'll
right
be in
before
my
you go
car.
over the lake.
I'll be in my car right after this.
Yeah, I
You,
mean, it's to die for.
I'll
I
take
love
it.
it. I love this show. We can talk about things that matter. If you don't,
Maybe
guys,
we
if
all
you
need
don't,
to open up a barbecue restaurant. What do you
exactly.
think? I mean, maybe this is
I
our
used to
calling.
have one. Yeah, yeah. That was my first brand was barbecue.
Yeah.
Kirby Q was our place back in the day. Denton,
Kirby
Yeah.
Texas. Kirby Q.
Yeah. I
And
think.
we did a lot of we probably did more catering than we did actually anything else. But
That's
anyway,
great.
Squirrel. Maz says Squirrel, she want to get us back on task. So
Okay.
guys, David is not a project manager. He's been in that space. He
Yes.
knows how to connect with those people and get them to understand, which I really like, is getting them to understand each other's world and why
Hmm.
we should or should not do certain things or make certain decisions or
Yeah. I think.
work with certain people, maybe
Yeah.
vendors or something.
That's a good point, Foster. Yeah. But implementations are project
Hmm.
oriented. So you're dealing with your own task as well as the client and project management. But I've told people this, and I tell at the end of when I do have interviews, the thing I'm most proud of my accomplishments, and I've been very fortunate, is my ability to work with people, to respect them, to understand. I'm a trainer in supply chain, to understand different learning styles
Ah,
and where people are coming from, how they think, because in a typical implementation, people are nervous, they forget.
Yeah.
And I've seen consulting can be brutal and matter of
yes.
fact, and I've seen bad situations where the communication was just not good, and that breaks down everything, right? There's a financial piece to. I've told Foster there's a high cost to low trust.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's a good point.
You know
um,
that is it, guys. There is a high cost to low trust.
Yeah.
You heard that. My big brother said it. I'm going to hold on to that. That is
That
very
is a
accurate.
good
David.
word. That could be
That is.
like a motivational poster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jimmy and I have been around long enough. We've seen a little bit of that.
Yes, indeed. It causes a little bit of turnover, doesn't it, Foster?
Yeah, it can cause turnover in companies. I know that consulting is getting more popular because of the way that we do business. I won't get into it all because then they'll get me on my daggum soapbox. Because I've been around a while. I've been recruiting a number of years, guys, and there have been a number of things I've been involved with and seeing. But David is a rare to me. David, and I'm not just saying this because we got the same last name and family and everything, but guys, David is a rare candidate. There's a lot that you can get done. David is not opposed to consulting. Now you got to pay him his money now because he's worth it. But David's going to be that guy that's going to come in. A lot of times the consultants come in and they're viewed kind of as the know-it-alls, the fix-it-alls, and I'm intimidated or I don't like these guys because all of a sudden they're in my team and are they running things or what are we going to do? No, David, if it's one thing that David has as a gift from God, in my estimation, is the ability to get along with people, a ability to understand these other people, where they're coming from, why they go the way that they go. And I'll tell you something crazy. It ain't got nothing to do with job search. When I first met David, now we were in the Fort Worth Career Search Network, I think. So I knew why he was there. But before David even opened his mouth, I looked across the room and I said, I want to meet that guy right over there, simply from the way that he was interacting with people. And he hadn't said a thing. And I ran over there and I'm like, look here, I got Williams' last name too. I'm cool. And David and I have been friends. We didn't even talk about barbecue initially, maybe about 5 minutes into the conversation. But we have been brothers, and I do mean brothers ever since. And our other brother, Rex Sowett, is on this phone. Another guy that if you are in job transition, I would strongly suggest that you connect on LinkedIn with Rex, Saoit. It's crazy last name, but he's a crazy person. Okay. We got 5 minutes. We've been warned. We've got 5 minutes before we'll be heading off to the next week. So, David, is there anything else about your experience that you'd like to share?
I think I've been privileged to convey that. I will tell you, please use my LinkedIn connection. I'm available to help you in any way that I can. If it's just a discussion or a resume review.
How do we find you on LinkedIn? You're David M. Williams, aren't you?
Yeah, I put the link in the chat.
Oh, good. I'm not going to say what the M stands for, but it's David M. Williams.
Do not say what it stands. But it's and I'm certified with. It used to be Apex. It's now ASCM. I went through that test. It was hard. It was as hard or harder than the CPA exam. But I've been fortunate to be with that group for years, and they're a great global organization, and I'm very fortunate. Very fortunate.
You are. God's been really good to you. I've watched it.
I'm looking forward to the next opportunity.
I'm glad you're getting an opportunity to meet Jimmy Taylor over there. Now, Jimmy's one of the good ones as well. And to be able to be connected to him, you guys, if you ever get an opportunity, I would like to suggest, of course, I am the Jobfather. I would like to suggest that you guys have a conversation. David, you might want to call Jimmy up. I've had Jimmy's number for years. Okay. But a conversation between you two would be absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I'd love to connect, David. We'll make that happen.
Yeah, it's been a privilege to be on this morning, and it's been an inspiration to me. Thank you.
David, your background and your certifications are just so impressive. The wealth of experience you have, you will be eaten up quickly. Honestly, any organization would be lucky to have someone with the diversity of your background, having both the financial and accounting side, plus the supply chain, plus the various certifications you have. Really kind of puts you at you can stay macro in terms of the view and strategy, but you can also dig in on more of a micro level. And that is going to be an asset to most organizations, because the analysis and understanding of data and being able to relay that information to make timely decisions is critical. Any organization would be lucky to have someone of your stature.
Thank you. I'll be ready for my next opportunity.
Dana, I didn't tell David, but David's got the stamp of approval. He's got the
the definite golden stamp of approval.
Seal of approval from the Jobfather Job Seeker Network Radio. That's right here.
100%.
Absolutely. We give that to job seekers, guys. We bring the absolute best job seekers. Now, you guys that haven't been on the show yet, give us time. But we bring the absolute, we vet these job seekers that we bring on. We bring the best people on here, and everybody doesn't get the gold seal of approval from the Jobfather show. And guys, we bring you these people for a reason. We bring you these people so that you get an opportunity to interact with these people and see what Dana and I are talking about. You know, so having Jimmy and David on one show is a blessing to me. So Jimmy, we got a little bit of catching up to do, and that's going to be that's my part to bug you in your busy schedule and get out there. And we might even bring David with us. We'll get some barbecue.
I think that's a great plan right there.
Have a wonderful, beautiful Friday afternoon.
Yeah. And I want to say hi to my niece, Allison. I know she should be watching her daddy on the show. And Hannah. See you next week, guys.
See you next week, everybody. Stay strong, stay focused.
Definitely
Bye.
Prosper.
Hey, travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820. Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify